Okay. So now let's get into, as you've said, planning the talent value stream, creating this roadmap and knowing that that roadmap is always evolving. So how do you start to look at this piece?
Well, when we started looking at this, it's like there's really kind of three pieces that go with the entire, this is the whole thought process of the talent value stream. It's the roadmap of it. So it's no one piece, it's all of these. So one of them is people, right? We need to know who these people are before we go too deep into anything else. We need to understand what the pragmatism is, right? The simple truth. One of our team members, it's great. Uh, he was with a client one day, and the client's like, "Well, but I don't want it to be true." And he goes, "Well, the truth is the truth, whether you want it to be or not, right? So let's be pragmatic about it. And what is just the simple truth that we're trying to get to? And then what does our prioritization look like, right? When we're talking about the alignment plus the return. How are we going to prioritize positions? How are we going to prioritize which piece of the talent value stream we're working at right now? How are we going to prioritize all sorts of things, and what's it going to bring to us as our return? All of that is really under that talent, the roof of talent. So when we look at this, right, so the people, we want to make sure that those people that are involved, that they are in, the talent and market development, that they know, one, the kind of people that we need that are capable and they align with our vision. So it's not just about the people we're bringing in, it's about the people we're asking to go find the people that we're bringing in, right? Are we aligned all internally to what we want and need? And does that person completely and utterly understand what that looks like when we're going out, right? Not just hiring talent, but hiring the best talent. Because I mean, I know I've seen it when they've gone out and it's like, hey, we need to hire 20 people, and they go out and hire 20 people. It's like, did we even talk about talk about what the company, mission or vision is, and are these people going to be a good fit? Uh, a boss of mine one time said, hire hard, because that's how you're gonna get the right people, at least given the best shot in the door. Then we get to the pragmatic side of it, right? Again, the truth is the truth, not what we want the truth to be. So we need to just look at it. What is the truth? What must be true for this to happen? And how are we going to quantify? What does that value look like? How do we quantify it? Is it sometimes our quantification is going to be in specific numbers of people, or it's going to be in specific years of experience, or it's going to be in uh, specific new markets. There's a lot of quantification that can happen. We just need to make sure that it is appropriate for the value that it's bringing at the situation we're going to use it in, right? So, but the truth, yeah, the truth is the truth, no matter how we want to spin
Not what you.
it. And then really prioritizing, we go back to that, who before what. We need to look at those simple things. What can we be best at? How do we make our money? Um, how do we work at our best? What's going to drive our profit? And then making sure that we're asking the questions, right? Do I and the people around me and the people we're hiring, do we love what we're doing? Because if it's a grind every day, it's not gonna work. If we don't understand what is driving, the just the simple concept behind everything, what's driving our profitability, what's driving our cash flow, where are we best? If we can't align those things in that, the value they're going to return and the priority that they have to be in, then it's not really gonna, people just aren't gonna fit. It's just not gonna work. So there's a lot to think about, a lot to talk about really at management levels before we even dive too far past the planning into the recruit to hire. So that there's a lot of conversation that really can happen around this to see where we want to dive in. And it's gonna be different. Every contractor is gonna be different as to how deep they're gonna dive, where they're gonna dive, and um, we see it all the time.
And then that roadmap changes really
Yeah.
with every stage of growth, different changing market conditions. We expanded geographically and we went into this new area. It changes continually. So this is not a task to be done, right?
Right.
This is a roadmap to make and continue
Well,
remaking.
that's right, because if you're growing just enough to, keep up with inflation and you're not necessarily needing a whole lot of new people, the planning stages of this roadmap may be simpler from one year to the next. But David, just like you said, when we move to a new geographic region, we probably need a new manager in that region. We probably need new people in that region. We probably need an office in that region. There's a whole nother stage of planning that has to go with that. Who moves? Who do we hire locally? What are we looking to get out of it in year one, year two, year three? When's it going to be profitable? There's a lot to look at, and how the people are going to fit in there appropriately. So growth has everything to do with where you're going to spend your time and where your roadmap is going to turn next, right? Do you turn left at the Y or right at the Y? Well, we don't know, but we're at the Y, so it's time to talk about it, figure out where we want to go. So,
So let's give an example of, and this is not prescriptive, but these are just like a starting point on the recruit to hire and the application of this. So we're here at the recruit to hire process. We talked about how challenging the market is. So on the people side,
yeah, so on the
questions.
people side, first, again, we need to look to make sure that we're asking the right questions. We're doing the due diligence as to what we're trying to do. So some of the questions, really, we have to start with who can qualify to work for us, right? Who's going to work on our team? We need to know what the key qualities are. Is there something that we can kind of pull that thread across the whole company? What does that look like? What are we going to require of everybody in the organization? What are those qualities that we say, you know what, if they don't have this, then they can't work here, right? These are the no compromise qualities at all, right? This uh, Some people go we want to call it ethics, we want to call it a lot of things, but in many cases, it's a matter of the no compromise quality is maybe customer first at all costs. It's something to know. You need to know that about the organization. You need to feel that these are the people that are going to come to work for you. And then, of course, where do you look? Where do you find the people that are going to be the ones that come in? So the planning is for helping the talent manager go and ask the right questions while they're doing the hiring, the recruit to hire planning process. When they go in, this is their goal. This is where they're supposed to be. So,
I think this one's interesting where we'll dive more into this. The easy part is making the laundry list of everything that you would want. The hard
right.
part is saying, what are the things that absolutely matter, that are most critical? I think in financial analysis, they call it sensitivity analysis of what are the variables that are going to most predict, high or low levels of
Right.
performance, and then what are the nice to haves? Because we're not in this market where we can get 50 perfectly qualified candidates and pick exactly the right one and go for it. We're looking for what's going to fit.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So truth is the truth. I love this one. Yeah.
Well, and
I have to go work out after this, so I don't like what my watch is going to tell me, so I'm going to leave it at the office.
yeah, well, and this one is very much, about being really honest about it. When you've got somebody out there in the world trying to do some recruiting and some hiring, can they absolutely 100% describe what it is you're looking for each of these direct reports, right? Do you know what the competencies are? Do you know what the quantified outcomes are? Can you absolutely 100% describe that? Because if you can't, I don't know how you can hire people that will then understand it if the hiring manager can't explain that. So there's a lot of knowledge transference that needs to go from, hey, we got a project manager telling this hiring manager this is how it needs to be. We need to make sure that that is absolutely in line with what we want a new hire to know, right? They need to be as informed when they, want to come work for a company. And that hiring manager is that conduit, right? They're the conduit between the company and any new hire. And how many times when they say, "Hey, why is this a great place to work?" Well, we better know why it's a great place to work. Is it great because of the culture? Is
Right.
it great because of the opportunity? Is it great? Why is it great? And we have to have really good examples as to why it's great. Is the office in a new upcoming booming city? And is that just one more reason why it's great to work here? But we need to understand every single thing, why it's important and how this, you know, comes back to our mission and vision, and how they can see how their role, new coming into the company, absolutely connects to where the company looks, where our North Star is, where that mission and vision is. So the better an employee can, one, have quantifiable outcomes, and two, connect to that mission and vision, the more they're going to feel engulfed by that culture and will most likely want to stay. So some great questions we want to start with, and then is there? We talk about an interview guide here. First off, is there an interview guide for every role definition? And if there is, does it have everything is in it? Does it talk about all of the definitions, of every role and the support that's needed in each of those roles, what that looks like in the company and the departments. So this is all about totally knowing and understanding the organization and what you are looking for. Not the people, but the what. What's the story that you can tell when you're going out there?
So in on this, I want to ask you a definition question. So I hear there's three words that I hear used interchangeably a lot: skill, competency, and capability. And so I think breaking those down into what they are, and I saw the definition I think that I've settled on that I appreciate the progression on, and I'll use an example of running. Is a skill is being able to do something like running is a skill. Like, can you run? My year-old granddaughter can almost run, but she falls down sometimes. My 18-month-year-old one, she can actually run. She's running, and definitely the 4-year-old and the 10-year-old boys can run. Matter of fact, they run all the time, inside the house, outside the house, whatever. And they're coming out to visit in a couple weeks, so it's going to be a lot of fun. But run, so running is the skill, and then competency would be the quantified element of the skill. So for instance, I think the Army physical fitness standard is like 2 miles at a 7 minute pace. So it's like it's defining what competency level am I able to go perform this skill at. So I can't do that. So, though I am going to go run right now, I cannot do that. So I'm not good from a running standpoint. And then a capability, and this gets down into your capabilities have to support your strategies. That's ultimately what customers are paying for and what you need. So, for instance, in the Army, the reason that they run, the reason they do long marches and everything is because they want to have a capability. And I think I saw one of the definitions was they need to be able to move troops into place on foot with everything that they need to do to sustain themselves and fight. And they need to be able to move something like 20 something miles in a day and be prepared to fight. So they go from a skill to all these different competency levels and certifications of those, because what they need is the capability
Mhm.
to be able to do this thing over here, which is what they need. So anyway, when we talk about competencies, if it doesn't have a measure to it, including the outcome that you're expecting to be achieved, probably doesn't matter. Is that fair
No,
enough
that's
statement?
a fair enough statement, and certainly both sides of the, let's say, the competencies in a role definition, right? Not only the person in the definition, but the person above that definition needs to understand. They need to understand exactly what that
Right.
means in real words, right? Otherwise, it's hard to figure out what success looks like in the capabilities department if there's not real quantification next to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I find that that's probably where we see the looseness in it, because people will use things like, oh, you need to be able to negotiate. But like, for instance, there's an experience level in that. This gets down to the competency. Like, you know a lot about labor negotiations, and I watch you. You geek out on it. You're really good at it. You have lots of experience. I am sure that you've gotten your butt kicked before, and I'm sure you've kicked some butt before, and you've got all the scars to go prove it. So getting more specific, saying my ability to negotiate what, you know,
Right.
my the grandsons will be negotiating with grandma and grandpa when they get here. That's but I would not send them out to negotiate a change order, nor would I send them, and I wouldn't send the same person to negotiate a change order that I would to negotiate labor relation issue.
Right.
So this is where competencies encouraging to get specific.
Right.
So sorry for the detraction on
No,
that.
no, no. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, and then we get into again that third pillar being the prioritization, right? When we get back to those simple things of what drives profit and cash flow best, and do I love what I'm doing? So where do you start, right? Where do you start? What's the priority of the recruit to hire when you go across the team? So when you're looking at it, the talent manager may be looking at, well, hey, the prioritization here is I need to talk to, 10 colleges to go get some new recruits. It could be that you've got an area manager or division manager that's looking at, hey, I'm not as concerned about new recruits. I am more concerned about this hole that we're going to have with the retirement coming up. We need to fix that. We need to fill that hole. And then looking around and going, okay, let's see where we are on the inside of the organization. Can we fill it from the inside? Do we need to go outside? What do we need to do? But the prioritizations are not always the same when you look across the team. When you get to a stage one contractor, it probably is the same. We need somebody to help build this job that we just got. When you start getting into the level fours, you start getting or stage four, the stage five, stage six. It is very much the chess match inside. How many do we need from outside? Where do we go to get them? But when do we get them? Because it's more important to look at how we fill the open roles or the soon to be open roles inside the organization. So a lot of that again just sounds a lot like succession planning, right? What does that priority look like? So
And that's a really hard one. And it's almost like that urgent versus important
yeah,
matrix, right? There are some roles that are extremely urgent. Like if you are out a payroll person, that role needs to get filled like right
yes.
now. But it's not that high leverage of a role. On the other hand, you might be looking for a new vice president of pre-construction, knowing that that's going to take a while, but it's not urgent. You don't have a burning bridge. You just have somebody in that role that's going to be retiring in the near future, and you don't have a clear internal successor.
Right.
So there's there, and too often you see that very important role get backburnered into the last minute, and finally the person that's going to retire, they're like, okay, I pushed my date a bunch of times. Like I just saw an estimator just said, okay, this is the date, it's June 26th, and I'm out.
Yeah. Well,
It's like,
it's cool though because those companies that are embracing that, and I realize we'll talk a lot about offboarding at another time, but that are really working with that offboarding, they're working with somebody who's already said, "Hey, I'm out in a couple of years." So no new news is happening, right? They're helping
yeah,
you work through a job description. They're helping you ask all of these questions, right? They're helping you say, "Hey, what are the quantifiable outcomes of this job?" Right? Let's be pragmatic about what this job is. They're helping you actually do that. They're probably doing interviews, right? They're probably asking people. They're keeping it in the forefront, and then when it is their time, there can be that uh, less stressful, more even keeled transition of power, knowledge transfer. When the one going out has a lot to say about the next one coming in, and can really help go out on a slide as opposed to off the cliff.
yeah. And you describe the ideal situation, and a lot of times we're so busy on the urgent role
Yes,
filling that we keep thinking that Sam. Well, Sam already delayed his retirement for a year. He'll probably delay another year and another year, and
that's
so
right.
then we push the important one off. And so yeah, prioritization is a tough one because you got to keep the machine running while planning for tomorrow.
That's right.